friends, I'm Rick and this is your seat at the table, and we got a little Missy sitting back there behind me because, like I said, she's right here. Yeah, right. So we're looking at Forgotten Realms for 2nd edition, Dungeons and Dragons, official game accessory, Dwarves Deep by Ed Greenwood. And I always love these kind of books because they're not just a modular, they're a source book, and they're more important, they're a regional source book covering a lot of stuff in a short window. So what we're going to look at is all things dwarves in the Forgotten Realms, specifically the southern dwarven clans. And this here is a overall map of a stronghold. That's level 1 for chapter 3. Right, so, and then there's of course this printed on the back. So we got the basement level and stronghold level 3, so on and so forth. Some nifty little stuff going on there. Never utilized it, just never have. This here is a overview of the Great Rift region in southern, the southern central Middle Earth and the Great Rift, and all the tunnels and under stuff. So we got all kinds of dwarven cities and villages and what have you and so on. And we got a list of clan runes up here. So the various runes of the northern clans here and runes of the southern clans here. And these sort of things always make for great wall maps and stuff. If you're running campaigns in these using this setting and this stuff, putting this up on the wall nearby is always a nice little addition to it, in my opinion. I can't say that I've ever done that with this one. I probably haven't. It has seen a little use, but it's mostly probably for places. You know, just saying. These posters have some advantages and disadvantages. In addition to that, we also have the cover itself, and this one is a screen. So you could usually use it as a DM screen, you know, if you wanted to. So we got dwarven names, the names table for the northern shield dwarves, the southern gold dwarves, and the wild jungle dwarves. So we got male and female names, the rune stones, drawing with typical rune stone example. And then we got some more stuff back here for languages and things like that using rune stones. And then we get to the material proper. So what we got is, what is it to be a dwarf, love and marriage, dwarven races, dwarven craft, dwarven language, clans, brotherhoods, the god of the dwarves, priests of the dwarves, dwarven spell magic, or dwarven magic spells, dwarven magic items, the Great Rift, the Deeps, the Lost Kingdoms, Dwarves in the North Today, Current Clack, Dwarven Rooms, blah, blah, blah. So, right, editing by Ed Greenwood and Timothy Brown and so on. Cartography by a fellow named Diesel. Yeah, okay, sure. Introduction, like I said, Dwarves of the Realms, what's new for dwarves. What is it to be a dwarf? I had a friend he's still my friend. We don't get together anymore. And he just absolutely loves the dwarves. If it's not a dwarf, he wants to play either a dwarf, a giant, a half giant, or he wants to play a dragonborn, and generally in that order. So he's played a lot of dwarves over the years, and he kind of looks like a dwarf, except he's really tall, and he kind of has the mannerisms of a dwarf in a lot of ways. So I think he, fit the bill in more ways than he realized. So we got Doom with the Dwarves, Professions, Dwarven Nature. Dwarves are hardy by nature, resistant to magic and toxic substances, as described, blah, blah, blah. Festivals and moots, Professions, the handsome dwarf, metals most marvelous. Dwarven races, changing roles of love and marriage, courting, having children, half-bloods. Said humans, gnomes, and halflings are cross-fertile with dwarves. Elminster says elves and dwarves can have issue as well. Common in RD, blah, blah, blah. Mates who respect dwarven customs, traditions are honored for their courage and in entering a strange society. Loyalty to the customs of the dwarves and in preserving the folk. Half-dwarves are not a distant race, save for their height, a head taller than most dwarves. All offspring of unions between dwarves and other races look and act and are treated in the rules as pure-blood dwarves. So, other than being an overly tall dwarf, you might never know that you're looking at a half-dwarf, unless they say something. or they tell you. So we get Dwarven races, the Shield Dwarves or the Northern Dwarves, which if Drizzt Battlehammer and the Drizzt Do'Urden sagas deal with a lot of the Northern Dwarves quite well. So we get a really good understanding of their thoughts and their drives, their lifestyles, and their living in their cities and things like this. Gold Dwarves, on the other hand, there's not a lot of novels in the Forgotten Realms settings that deal with Gold Dwarves on a large scale, not like they did in the North. So this was a different group. And then, of course, Wild Dwarves, which are a whole other animal, literally, to deal with. Dwarven language, Dwarvish, runestones, Dwarvish words, Dwarven craft, feats of Dwarven engineering, the Chasm Leap Bridge, the Wailing Dwarf, Humps of the Paradin, individual abilities, right? So there's some pretty fantastic works they're giving examples of, right? So, of some of the stuff. Clan names, Dwarven clans, clan organization, law, known clans of the Dwarves, the Iron Stars. Then we get the Brotherhoods, the famous Brotherhoods, the Holy Hammer, the Glittering Sword, Blades of the Axe. And we get the Gods of the Dwarves and the Avatars and things like this. And there's a lot. And typical of Dungeons & Dragons, there's a whole lot of stuff referring to the gods and clerical references. So, Priests of the Dwarves, Divine Aid, Who Worships Who. One of the things I got a kick out of when I was reading the Drizzt Do'Urden novel series back in the day was that it apparently, one of the pastimes of the Battlehammer dwarves, clerics, is brewing. And so they brew the most potent, most fantastic alcohol in the damn, the dwarven world. And the more potent it is, the better it is, the sweeter it tastes or whatever, the higher their esteem is seen by everybody else, kind of stuff. I thought that was interesting. A different take anyway. So we got all the typical dwarven deities and Pantheon here, and a couple others that we didn't hear, like the Wild Dwarfs god, the High Old Ones, the Dwarven cults. Then we get into Dwarven magic spells, wild spells, known spells of the folk. So second level spells: Hurl Rock, Mask Stone, Rock Burst. Third level is Glow Gory, Lesser Guardian Hammer. Fourth spell is Fire Eyes, Guardian Hammer, Stone Trap, Stone Fall, Stone Fire. Fifth level spells, Flow Stone, etc. So we get on into some more other stuff, and then we get up to 7th level, Rune Chant. New magic items, Dwarven magic. We got Air Hammers, Blast Spikes, a Fist. These prize items are traditionally used only by dwarven priests without a regard to faith. Dwarves frown on beings of other races using them, will seek out any excuse to challenge or attack the owners to gain them. Fists magically alter in size to fit any hand brought in contact with them, even be a nasty magic weapon by my understanding. Glowstones, Pickaxe of Piercing, Iron Star Mace, Rune Hammer, Whip of Amatar, Winged Hammer, Stun Bolt. The Great Rift. So we get into some more information on the Great Rift itself. The center of the Easter Shar is cut open by the giant, as if by a giant sword, in a carving southeast by northwest canyon, the Great Rift. The rift plunges to almost 1,000 feet. So think of the Grand Canyon. That's when I first saw this, first thing came out was the damn Grand Canyon. So we got the gates, Underhome, the Rift Lake, Hammer and Anvil, Earth Heart. Then we get the Deeps, the Deep Lands. The Deeps is a vast underground region underlying the lands of the eastern shining sea and south of the Sea of Fallen Stars. It's always been heavily populated and dangerous, with many races vying for supremacy in the lands that never see the sun. Drow kingdoms have risen and fallen several times. Druger have made steady advances, the latter at the expenses of Ithoids and deep gnomes, whose numbers have dwindled. Cloakers and Abel lurk on the fringes of the deep, scheming to control key rivers, lakes, and mines. Intelligent fungi are plentiful, and this ready source of food has made the deep sought by many. So we got the deep lands, the deep realm, armies of the deep, important settlements of the realm. Underhelm, roughly 44,000, mostly dwarves. Daunting with 12,000. Fire Caverns with 39,000. Glitter Delve with 26,000. The Hall of Echoes with 9,000. So you go on down the list, you see quite a bit. So we get some critters, Deep Spawn, Lost Kingdoms. Oh yeah, always some interesting stuff. Fallen Kingdom. That's in the Drizzt Do'Urden series. Citadel Adbar. How's that a fallen kingdom? That ain't fallen. Yeah, Citadel Adbar. Warrior Grant. Citadel can hold up to 60,000 dwarves in comfort and will find its defensive tunnels. We're ruled by King Harbram. Yeah, see, I don't know. That's some kind of run together there somehow. Right? Yeah. Always like this stuff. I really do. Dwarves in the North today. The current clack. So, some various things like Druger seem to be massing under the Termish on the southwestern coast of the Sea of Fallen Stars. They gather for a great strike north into the underlands of the Dragon Reach, currently held by the Drow and studded with isolated dwarven and deep gnome enclaves. The Druger is said to be led by a dark-skinned elf of great height, perhaps 12 feet, who has strange magical powers, including the ability to hurl gusts of winds with his gestures. Right? Okay. So, there you go. Forgotten Realms, Dwarves Deep. If you can get your hands on this, this is well worth having. If you're really a big fan of dwarves, this is definitely worth having. I'm just saying. Till next time. It just irritates me to no end.